Hello everyone, this is Arvin again, and this is just a quick video showing you how to remedy if your SSL certificate for your online deployment of the mock social media website tool has expired. That means that you are no longer able to access an HTTPS version of the website because your SSL certificate, which you initially set up, expired. So what does that look like practically? Basically, the first time you set up your SSL certificate in the deploying online tutorial for the mock social media website, it was set to auto renew the certificate, but we had to temporarily take the auto renew off in order for the mock social media website to accept external connections from the same port that was then being used up by the auto renewal process of the mock social media website, whereas we needed it for the actual tool itself. If your SSL certificate expires, it is likely to happen 90 days after you first deployed the mock social media website tool. And what this ends up looking like is this. If your SSL certificate has expired, people who try to visit your deployment of the mock social media website tool online, in my case on the studysocial.media domain name, will encounter a message like this. This is what the message looks like on Chromium browsers, such as Chrome, or I'm using Brave here, but it's basically the same as Google Chrome. And they'll get a warning that their connection is not private and their personal security could be compromised. That is because the SSL certificate has expired. And you actually see here that the error given is net error cert date invalid, which means that the certificate end date is invalid. If you look up here, normally you'll see a lock icon here if the SSL certificate is valid and your connection to it is secure. In this case, it very clearly says not secure. And if you click on this, it says certificate is not valid here. Actually, if you click this and show the certificate, you'll see, in my case, I first deployed the tool on May 9th, 2021. That only got us to about August 7th, 2021, which is 90 days. And this is because the auto renew process did not work because we had to temporarily turn it off. So unfortunately, we've got to manually re-up the SSL certificate, and I'll show you how to do that. However, this doesn't mean that your online deployment of the tool is inaccessible. The website is just there. It's just because a lot of modern web browsers are demanding HTTPS versions of websites now, that anything that isn't HTTPS, as in is HTTP, is given a warning. If we click on advanced here, it'll give you some additional forewarning, again saying that the security certificate, the SSL certificate, expired 172 days ago, in my case from the date of recording this video, and it says, this might be caused by a misconfiguration, which is the case here, or an attacker intercepting your connection. But you could still proceed to the website if you wanted to, and it would load like normal. Again, it's still giving you this not secure warning, but everything is still working just as is. And I can actually just put in another 6-digit code, log in, and I still get access to the same studies. It works exactly the same. But nonetheless, having that warning and having the risk of that warning showing up for your participants is not ideal, and that's what we're going to fix now. To do this, we're going to need to SSH, which just means remotely connect, into our EC2 instance again. I'm just going to switch over to my EC2 instance over here. I've already logged in, and if you remember from the other tutorials, specifically the deploying online tutorial, we know that we're in by seeing this sort of bracket here, and we know in the main directory because this tilde is in here. And the way I logged in is the way you would log in any other time to your EC2 instance, which is going to the instance page on Amazon's AWS on the website, clicking connect, and then copying the example command and hitting enter. I did that already, so I don't have to blur out more stuff. And this time, because I'm using a different deployment of the mock social media website tool than I did in the deploying online tutorial, I already gone ahead and logged in. If you remember from the troubleshooting component of the deploying online tutorial for the mock social media website tool, in order to get the front end to work, we need to stop the Apache service so that the front end of the tool could run using the same port. But Apache is what handles the communication between Certbot on the EC2 instance, which is the software that generates the SSL certificates, and the certificate verification, which happens on Let's Encrypt, which is a service provided by the Electronic Frontier Foundation. So we kind of need to work in reverse here, because if you've set up the mock social media website tool online already, in which you must have, and followed all those instructions for this tutorial to be relevant for you, we'll need to stop the front end, which is running on the website, start Apache, use Apache to renew our certificate, then stop Apache again and start the front end of the tool so everything gets back to normal. For that reason, going through this process is not ideal if you are collecting data currently. This should happen in the downtime between when you are running participants for different studies, or if you are collecting data longitudinally for a duration of time that exceeds the 90 days that the certificate is valid for. Then pick a time during the day where participants are least likely to be accessing the website because it will cause a brief disruption on the actual website. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to get the container ID of the front end of the Mock Social Media website tool. This is the Docker container that is currently running the front end of the tool, which is using the same port that we need to temporarily delegate to Apache before we then delegate it back to the front end of the tool. And to do this, we will run the command docker ps, hit enter. And as you can see here, we have the backend and the front end running. Front end is usually the one that causes issues, specifically with port 443. And we need to copy this container ID because we're going to kill this container ID. So I will copy the container ID. And here I will go docker kill and then enter the container ID and hit enter. And this will have killed that container ID, which means now the front end is actually not running. And if I go docker ps again, it will show only the back end is running. And we can actually verify this by going to the website again. We just load it up here. If I try to access the website again at just the base URL, you will see that the site cannot be reached. So we'll just return to our EC2 console here in our bash terminal. And now the next thing we need to do is start the Apache service. And you can do that by typing in sudo /usr /svin /apache ctl space start. And you can hit enter. And now Apache service has started again. What we're going to do now is we're going to run the whole Certbot process again. And if you don't remember what that process looks like, it's on the same Amazon web page that we used to set up Certbot and auto renewal the first time. And now I'm just going to put them side by side. Here we go. And on the left side of my screen, I have the EC2 instance open through my terminal in Visual Studio Code. And on the right, I'm on the configuring SSL tutorial page on AWS's documentation. And we just need to scroll down to this part of it, which is the certificate automation with Let's Encrypt. We're going to scroll past a lot of this stuff. Now, there's some steps here at the beginning, but you already did these the first time you set up the SSL certificate on the EC2 instance. That includes downloading the EPEL packages, installing some additional repository packages here, enabling EPEL, confirming that EPEL is enabled, and you can go through these steps again if something goes wrong to check if you might have done something as a way to diagnose issues. And we edited the main Apache configuration file, which was this httpd.conf file that we edited through Vim, if you remember. Now, if we scroll down to the install and run Certbot section, we also installed these Amazon extras for EPEL. We installed the Certbot packages. And where we need to pick up again is running Certbot. So if we just click through here and enter this command, so we can just copy it using this copy button next to the command, but it's fairly simple. It's just sudo certbot and hit enter. And we go through this whole process once more. Which names would you like to activate HTTPS for? And we would want to go with all options of both this and the www dot. So we can just keep this blank and hit enter. And says cert is due for renewal, auto renewing. And now it's waiting for verification. And it is done. If you actually scroll up here, it says create an SSL certificate over here, deployed it for the virtual host, enabled it, and your existing certificate has been successfully renewed and the new certificate has been installed. And that's all there really is to it. But now before we can actually access the website again, we will need to once again stop the Apache service and then restart the Mock Social Media website tool. And we're going to do that very similarly to the way that we did that in the deploying online tutorial for the mock social media website tool, which is to stop Apache using the command sudo /usr/sbin/apachectl space stop and hit enter. This is now stop the Apache service. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is rebuild the mock social media website tool one more time so that both the front end and the back end are working and we're sure they're working and everything is good. To do that, you have to be in the mock social media website tool folder first. So as just a reminder, you can check what subfolders are in the folder you're currently in by typing in ls and hitting enter. And this looks a little different from the deploying online mock social media website tool tutorial because this is our sort of main deployment of the mock social media website, as well as the one we test changes on. So ignore the extra folders here. You won't have those on your deployment of the tool, but we want to change our directory into the folder containing the backend folder, the front end folder, and all the other files for our deployment of the mock social media website tool. And to do that, I'm going to type in cd mock social, and actually if you just press tab, it will autocomplete the name of the folder if there's only one that has that sort of name, and hit enter. And now, because this tilde has been replaced with the folder that is containing all the files for our mock social media website tool, we're in the correct folder to run the build command. And you can verify this by hitting ls as well in this folder, and you can see that our front end is here, our back end is here, as well as the Docker compose file, which is the file that actually guides the building of the tool. So the last thing that we need to do is actually run the command to build the mock social media website tool. And that is docker-compose space up space -d space -no -deps space --build and hit enter. And now you can see that it's built the tool successfully. The backend is up to date, so it's already running, and it started the front end of the tool. Now, we can verify this by actually going to, we can verify both that the SSL certificate is renewed, as well as the front of the tool is working again by visiting the domain name on a web browser. So in this case, I'm going to go back up here. Again, remember, this is showing up as not secure because the SSL certificate had expired, and we were also not able to connect to the website at all at some point because we turned off the front end so that we could temporarily enable Apache. So if I just go back up here to the address bar and hit enter, voila. Not only does the website run, which means that the front end is actually working, but also we have a new certificate here, and it says that our connection is secure. And if I click this, it says your information is secure, the certificate is valid. If we click this, we'll see that it just renewed the certificate today and is valid for another 90 days. Now I click OK here, and I can prove that everything is working the same by visiting a study that was built previously using the tool over here, inputting a new participant ID. So just go 223301 or something and click login. And this study, which was built before we renewed the certificate, is still here and still working. So nothing changes. You just temporarily turn off your front end of the tool and turn it back on, and all your studies are there, all the data is still there, everything works fine. This whole process is a bit of an inconvenience, and in future updates to the tool, we'll try to find a way to make it so that the auto renewal process happens by itself. But for now, this is an easy workaround that actually doesn't take that much time at all and can help you continue running studies with just a little bit of maintenance here and there that is hopefully not that scary, given that you were able to do much more complicated things when you actually set up and deploy the tool online in the first place. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions or need help with deploying the tool online or offline, feel free to send me an email.